When the weather warms in spring, you'll notice that pests become far more active in the garden. So we're just going to go through a range of products and different ways that you can try and keep your plants healthy and minimise bad bugs in the garden. The first way is to introduce beneficial insects. These can come to the garden to feed, to reproduce, and what they will do is actually control bad bugs. Lots of ways to do that. We have beneficial insect collections, which produces beneficial flowers that attracts them to the garden. You can create a house so that they've got a place where they can nest and call home, and then that will also help to keep them in the garden. Another way to maintain plant health before having to do any sort of spraying is by treating your plants with seaweed solution. That keeps them vigorous, and vigorous healthy plants are far less susceptible to pest and disease attack. Another method, which is the preferred method, is exclusion. So that means you don't need to spray anything, you just have to use ways and mesh that keeps them off the garden. We've got different sorts of things. So exclusion netting is very fine, and that stops any of them getting through. These are individual bags that can go over fruit for fruit fly protection. And there's also huge nets that go over the entire tree. These are very different to bird netting because they have a finer mesh. Other types of barrier protection are copper tape is another barrier. This can be wrapped around the tops of pot plants or around the top of your garden bed, and it'll stop snails and slugs from entering the garden. It is adhesive, so it'll stick on a pot, but on a garden bed like wood, you'll probably need to nail that one in. Other barriers you can use are coffee grindings or even diatomaceous earth to stop snails and slugs and other creepy crawlies. You can also use traps. I think we've all heard about the beer trap, where you put a saucer of beer in the garden. Snails and slugs are attracted to that, and then they drown in the beer. This is a different type of that trap, so you can bury it quite deeply in the garden, which means that you don't have to empty it quite so often. Pop a little bit of beer in there, and they'll be attracted to it and fall inside. Other types of traps you can use are sticky traps like this, which have a horticultural glue on them. Always make sure you use one that has a cage around it to prevent nondescript mammals and birds from being stuck onto the horticultural glue. If an infestation is bad enough that you do need to spray, we've got a few organic solutions for you for that as well. So for caterpillars and especially on brassicas, you can use Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a bacteria. It's completely safe for humans. Horticultural oils are great on fruit trees, but just make sure you don't apply those on really hot days, because it's a bit like getting sunburnt if you put oil on. So only use those under 35-degree temperatures. You can also, of course, use snail and slug pellets. We recommend an iron one because it's safe for all animals. And one of the last things we recommend is diatomaceous earth. It works as a barrier. It's actually made from crustaceans, fossilised crustaceans that are all crushed up, and it actually is a great barrier around things. You can be used to dust fruit trees for pear and cherry slug, and it's also completely safe for humans. So hopefully we've given you a few tips and tricks to get started. Otherwise, we also have this chart which has everything I've mentioned today broken down for you so that you can work out what pests you have and the best way to solve them. Thanks.